Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a fourth round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative fifth round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch, but I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year one, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
A trained orangutan could have done a better job than Ron Zerks. I mean, not even well trained.
Welcome, Green Bay Packers fans, to the Titletown Sound podcast. This is the podcast for fans of the Green Bay Packers and fans of technology. If you're a regular joining us in the live stream, you know that this is the second time we've tried this show. The second time we have attempted episode 250, which is our bi-sesquicentennial, I believe. Kevin, you checked on that, right? That's legit?
That's actually, they added that to the dictionary yesterday, so we're good.
Beautiful. Okay, good.
Also, say that thing about the listeners, if you're listening, because I'm going to say that thing from Major League where he's nobody's listening anyway.
So I mean, you just kind of did the whole bit.
I believe there's copyright issues there. We got to be aware of.
Right. I mean, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a very good lawyer, but no, you don't have to worry about that. All right. Well, it is our 250th episode, and I wanted to. It's impressive. Look, we got to 200 now. Okay, so none of us were on episode 1, but we got to 250 episodes, and we beat out some pretty impressive competition. For instance, did you gentlemen know that the Love Boat, 249 episodes? They never made it to their bi-sesquicentennial.
Look, I'm going to say it again. I said it last night. I'm going to say it. Captain Stubing can just take a big old whiff of these.
Well, Kevin, you're always a big fan of hanging out on the poop deck, from what I remember.
Well, yeah, but back in the day, we called it the Davenport deck.
That's an odd thing to call it. All right, gentlemen. Speaking of pooping on things, the Green Bay Packers took a giant dump on the Chicago Bears this weekend, and it was quite enjoyable. Kevin, you all right?
I thought we were going to talk about today's Wednesday's Pittsburgh platter against Baltimore. Sorry.
It's rare that I don't watch a full game, but this was a Sunday night game. I had been up quite a bit. It was a busy day. I took the liberty of sleeping through the fourth quarter, and it feels good to be able to go to bed with a division game on the line and know it's over.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it through the whole thing myself because Thanksgiving weekend, a little bit of alcohol involved. I was a little bit tired. But, it actually did the opposite to me. It rejuvenated me. It was great.
The Packers win 41-25, and it wasn't even that close. Kevin, were you impressed with – what were you most impressed with in this game? I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
What was I most impressed with? I think just from start to finish, it was a game they dominated. We didn't have to worry about the game at any point. I feel like, it was just, Here we are, we're playing the Bears, and there's a shock, we're winning, and now we're going to win. And it's like halfway through the second quarter when you just knew that they were going to win. So I love that.
James, the offense was dominant once again. It felt like they could have put a lot more points on the board if necessary. They just acted at will.
Well, they went into cruise control in the fourth quarter, but that was great. That offense is so much fun to watch when it's clicking on all cylinders like it was. And the cool thing is, the most impressive thing to me on offense was for the second game in a row, you had Corey Linsley heading out somewhat early. They move Elton Jenkins over to center, bring Rick Wagner into right tackle, and you would have never known it. You didn't. The offensive line against the top maybe two front sevens in the whole NFL. Aaron Rodgers came out clean. I think Aaron Jones averaged 5 yards a carry. I mean,
Aaron Jones averaged 5.3 yards per carry. Jamal Williams was 4.3 yards, and neither of them had a single rush over 17 yards. So there was no huge gain in there to skew the average. They were just consistently running through the Bears.
Yeah.
and it was fun to watch.
It was so much fun. Like any given those weeks, those games where any drive, it just could end with 7 points at any point. And it's like, how are they going to pick your poison? Do you want Devontae? Do you want Lazard? It's so much fun, especially against a defense that is as good as the Bears. That was impressive.
And I also think the offensive line is certainly very good. They did some good work picking up some guys, drafting some guys. But also the offensive line doesn't have to do what it had to do for the last 2 or 3 years. And I think, Kevin, that's part of what you're seeing, that you can plug guys in who aren't all pro if you're not requiring them to pass block for 12 seconds of play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the broadcast like telling me how much I like Elgton Jenkins, but I like him a lot, right? He's a good player. I like him.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice butt in those pants, too. I don't know. What were we talking about again? The offense? I lost my train of thought.
The offensive line.
Something about used jock straps at the pro shop. What?
I
Jay,
think
I'm for you for your analysis. What is this? Is this a better offensive line, or is it a scheme that allows the offensive line not to have as much pressure, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. And I know that I misspoke a few minutes ago when I said that Rick Wagner came in. I meant John Runyon. Although Rick Wagner did end up coming in as well. But yeah, John Runyon just was played out of his mind for a rookie, and just incredible. I think the offensive line has been a big strength of Ted Thompson and Gutekunst in drafting in the last 5 to 7 years. I mean, they've got some real studs that they drafted, and free agency too with Billy Wagner.
But at the same time, James, they had problems with depth on the offensive line. That's been one of the biggest weaknesses. And I think what you're seeing is that is more of an issue of what the scheme required last year, what the offense required, or not last year necessarily, but the last several years, that it doesn't this year. And it takes a lot of pressure off a 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I think the biggest change is Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball to a receiver. I mean, his time from snap to pass is under 2 seconds, which if you only have to pass block for a second and a half.
1 second, Kevin. How long do you go from snap to pass?
From snap to pass, it's about 6 to 7 minutes, but it gets a little bit longer as I get older.
All right, James, back to you.
Well, I'm impressed. I take like 12 to 14 minutes, right? It depends if a magazine or my phone. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, the offensive line, I mean, we've come a long way from the days of Jason Spriggs and Don Barclay and, the windmills.
Oh, guys, wait, hold on. This chair I got here allows me to do my my Jason Spriggs impression. Also Marshall Newhouse.
For those of you listening, he's spinning around on his chair. He's now completed a 360 and has his headphones back on.
I'm surprised that worked, quite honestly.
That was pretty impressive.
It's a small room. I am I'm not touching 3 of the 4 walls. I'm still in the picture. So
we have not only have we made up for the technical difficulties from last night, we have surpassed any expectations.
Chris, if you were Nick Foles, you would have been touching all 4 walls.
If I was Nick Foles, I would not be hanging out with you two. I mean, no offense. You're fine people, but but me and my big wang would have things that we had to take care of.
You almost got a spit take out of me. That was close.
All right, back to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers looked like he was in complete control of that game. And James, it's good to see him looking like that again. I mean, he's looked like that a lot this season, but that felt like his MVP audition.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats and you're like, only 211 yards, not a ton of yards. He got 3 touchdowns, okay, but just the command that he had at the line, the command that he had with, the RPOs and everything else, that game was that was Aaron Rodgers' game. The whole, it was incredible. The pass to Lazard, the touchdown pass to Lazard, where Lazard was like the 27th read.
Yeah.
A lot of that's on Lazard for getting open, but I mean, that's incredible. Just the type of stuff that he does it's become over the years so commonplace and normal that now you're just like, oh, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, 70%. Nah.
Right.
You know,
And I think that's, Kevin, I think that's part of the problem when you talk about the MVP race. Aaron Rodgers has to beat Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's competing against Aaron Rodgers of years past as well, and whoever else is competing this year.
Yeah, and another thing about the MVP race, like the MVP, it rewards teams that rely on that particular player more than other teams rely on their particular player. So, you know, at the end of the season, if Aaron Rodgers is not in that final conversation, I don't think it means anything really.
Oh, I agree.
But you know, it's a nice award to win, but like, you know, like how can you compete with a guy like Russell Wilson who needs to score what the Packers score every week in order to be competitive, you know, because our defense is not.
You know what though?
Ideal.
I kind of don't want to hear that because after the season that Aaron Rodgers, I think it was 2017, where he had a very similar season to Russell Wilson, where he was running for his life and throwing, you know, every game was predicated on him, and he had the stats to back it up. I you know, if it didn't result in an Aaron Rodgers MVP that year, or was it 16? I think it was 16. It shouldn't result in a Russell Wilson MVP this year when he's throwing 3 times as many interceptions.
Okay. This year, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers' MVP-ness?
I think that his MVP-ness is probably a long shot. But I mean, I've been around a long time, and
average age of a host on this podcast is north of 40. In case you're wondering, just in case you're wondering whether or not we're mature or immature.
You know, I just want him to be, you know, in deep in the conversation, and I certainly don't want him getting boned.
They bang, oh baby, they move, I go crazy.
That's William Hogg, ladies and gentlemen. Big fan of the podcast, from what I understand. Accepts our cash. Okay, the defense, James. Not.
I hate them.
Okay, you know what? Just go talk about the defense.
Darnell Savage was great. Jair Alexander was great. Zadarius Smith was okay. Preston Smith cashed in an opportunity. Rashawn Gary had a good game. Middle linebackers on this team are so bad. And they have been forever. And I know this is an issue going back to the Stone Age, but they're just so bad. The middle of the field, it's a game of the floor is lava, and the other team doesn't care if they lose.
Wow, that is deep. What's this? Is the team this bad? Is it Mike Patton? Is it a little bit of both? Because I feel like there's a lot of talent and good spots on this team, but I also see Mike Patton has him playing 9 yards off a receiver on 3rd and 3, and it makes me want to punch someone in the hit their nothing a speed bag.
The zone defense. So there's a stat. I forget. I'm going to butcher this probably.
Don't fact check you.
The Packers, I believe, are 30th or 31st in the league when playing zone. But when they're playing man, they're in the top 7 in terms of pass defense. Yet Mike Patton plays zone defense like he's being endorsed by the inventor of zone defense. It's insane.
Hi, I'm Tom Zone, the inventor of the zone defense.
I mean, there was one play, and it was garbage time, I think, when they're close to it, and the Bears were, they had a 3-man. It was a wide receiver bubble screen that ended up in a touchdown, and the Packers were completely unprepared for it. Just absolutely, yeah. They didn't call a timeout. They didn't, and again, garbage time, so maybe they didn't care, but it's embarrassing to watch the other contending teams that have better defense or more aggressive defenses than we do.
Yeah.
And watch them dominate from beginning to end.
But our pass defense is pretty good. I think the pass defense looks bad because the run defense gets exploited sometimes, right?
So, I think the problem is you'll watch the bend but don't break, because they'll allow a team to drive 80 yards and then hold them to a field goal often, and that's good. But part of that bend don't break to me, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but it feels like Mike Patton not being aggressive, playing them off the line, gives them the bend, and you don't have to give up the bend. Why are you giving up the bend?
the break happens when you blitz two guys that don't get to the
But I'm not talking
quarterback
about
and they
this.
score.
I'm just talking about being more aggressive in man coverage. You still got safety help. You
No,
don't.
I got you, but again,
don't
you're
start.
more likely to break the more aggressive you get, right? Because I mean that's the nature. You can't
Sure,
you can't have it both ways.
but you can. But you can have it. You can change the continuum, because right now we're almost giving up for.
I don't know what the
It's-
continuum means.
Yeah, we're giving.
I don't either.
Is that like a
It's,
toilet part?
I just say big words and hope other people don't understand.
I think it's that thing where you have the four balls on strings, then you take one
No,
back
that's
and it hits.
a flux capacitor.
Oh, that's
No.
the flux 1.21.
Anyway, so I guess my point is let's bend less. We're going to break a little bit more, but with what we're doing now, we're being you're giving up third downs so often. It's frustrating.
At third and listen, anytime it's third and less than 10, it's just like, oh well, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating. We have and again, I don't hold a lot of esteem with Pro Football Focus. I think it's a lot of that stuff is just kind of made up. The narrative, you can use it to fill what you want, but you have, I think, the number one cornerback in Pro Football Focus in Jair Alexander. You have Kevin King, who when he's healthy is very good. You have safeties who you supposedly believe in, Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos. What you have other, Shannon Sullivan and Raven Green. You have these guys that you supposedly have all this stock in. Why don't you trust them enough in coverage to let your front seven a little bit more loose? Preston Smith in my opinion, should never be dropping back into coverage. Zadarius Smith should be able to move around wherever, middle of the field, either side.
I'm thinking. I'm just contemplating what James is saying.
It just. I mean, I know that I'm droning on and Kevin's falling asleep.
You're fine.
It
takes a lot of energy for me to sit up. So when I'm not sitting up, I like to relax.
Have a Capri Sun.
They stopped sponsoring us, James. You know that. Our production meeting, we talked about that.
Never begin. So I know what we're talking about, but the defense stinks. Can we sum that up?
No, they don't stink. There's so much room. There's so much room for improvement.
The frustrating part. They don't stink, and they have pieces that are really good. Like we haven't had a secondary like this in quite some time. They're really good, but I feel like they're not allowed to play to their potential. Okay.
Well, I think that if you want to talk about the defensive deficiencies as a whole, like that's fine, right? I don't really want to talk about any from the Chicago game because any deficiencies they had were in junk time with the exception of the first play from scrimmage, right? I mean, everything else was pretty much in check. I just, I don't know what else.
There's a part of me though, because Matt LaFleur has made a point on several occasions throughout this season and before this season that the team motto is all gas, no break. He said it, I don't know how many times, all gas, no break. And that apparently does not apply to the defense because just like you said, the garbage time, I don't care if it is garbage time. Why can't we use, it wasn't like they had their second string defense in, it was still the starters. So why can't we put their foot on their throat and just hold it there?
Well, here's something to consider, James, right? I drive a hybrid car, right?
You do.
So sometimes I drive all gas, no brake, but that doesn't mean I go very fast. It just means I drive efficiently. So maybe all gas, no brake is a reference to efficiency. I'm just being a jackass here, so let me continue. Thank you.
Are we now sponsored by Toyota? Because that'd be awesome.
We are a bit of a hybrid podcast. We pretend to be a Green Bay Packers podcast, and then we just make dick jokes for an hour.
Oh, so, yeah. We just this would be a Rocket League podcast if there was any lucrative.
Rashawn Gary did look good. That's one draft pick that you feel like you're going to see some value in. He's really definitely improved. But the rest of that defense, I just would like to see them because I feel they have the pieces to be aggressive and successful. So that's why you'd like to see it. But
I feel like they're lacking consistency in the middle linebacking position.
I feel like they're lacking a middle linebacker.
Yeah.
If only there was a guy that they used to. Never mind. Let's keep going. Let's go.
Blake Martinez staying.
Hey, you guys said the linebacking was poor. I was just saying he was a consistent person in the lineup.
I'd be consistent as a linebacker too, but you know.
You would
All right.
break every bone in your body.
The Bears are awful, but it is fun to beat the crap out of them. My question to you is, does this game mean as much as it used to anymore?
I mean, it's still a rivalry. I wish that if the Bears were a better team, it would mean more in the long run. But I mean, for this season, I think it gives the Packers a 3-game lead with 5 games to go in the division. I mean, that's huge.
I guess the rivalry is Kev.
Yeah, I mean, the rivalry has suffered a little bit because it's not that competitive, right? I mean, as a Packers fan, you probably don't see it as much as an outsider, like a Chargers fan who would probably say, oh, well, the Ravens and Steelers probably have the biggest rivalry right now because their games are more competitive, generally speaking.
Right.
It's kind of amazing when you think about how well this team is built for this division, and just they steamroll this division and have for the last, season and a half now. And it's just,
I mean, when you think about a rookie head coach, now he's in his second season, and Matt LaFleur's record in the NFC North, it's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's
does he have one loss?
One loss, no, it's the Vikings. Yeah.
And part of it is because those other teams have horrendous front offices and have made some terrible deals. But the rest of it is because he has changed this team already, and hopefully it's going to continue to get better. But if you're the Bears, if you're a Bears fan, who is your quarterback in the future? Because it's not Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think Mitch Trubisky gets a job as a backup.
I know who it could have been. I mean, it could have been Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson.
It could have. But it's not.
Could you imagine Patrick Mahomes in our division?
I'd be a Bears fan by now. How miserable would that be? Seriously, how miserable would that be? So
but that would be a great. That would make the rivalry. I think that would be one of those games where it would be more even than you would think. But
you're right. I would want that. I do want them to have drafted Patrick Mahomes because it would be insane. It would be so much fun. And when you have those two powerhouses in a division, it's a lot of fun. It's not as much fun. I watched the game because it was Sunday night, and I felt like I better watch this Packers game, but it didn't have the same. It was nice. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to watch a game where the Packers kick the crap out of somebody. You don't have to worry about it. Like, you can just enjoy the game. But it's missing a little of the edge it used to have. But that'll come back. I mean, look at the Packers in the 80s. Yeah.
I mean, the Charles Martin and Jim McMahon, we need them to come back and just duke it out one last time.
But I also think that the whole pandemic has a lot to do with this too, right? Because in the past, football games didn't have the context of being set behind a global pandemic, right? So like now, if the Packers are losing, it's not that big of a deal because my family's healthy. You know what I mean? That never was something that to consider in previous seasons. So I think for me personally, that's kind of helped with just the season in general, and it's been like a different vibe overall.
Yep, I agree. Wholeheartedly.
All right. Anything else to say about this game? I want to go to the break a little bit early tonight because we got a lot in the back end, but that would have just caused us all to giggle. We got a lot in the second half of the show. We're going to have a guest on who is a listener and who attended the game against the Colts, and I'm curious to hear about what a socially distanced NFL experience is like. Not many people have gotten that. We got an Eagles game to talk about. We've got some good voicemails. Well, honestly, I'm not sure I didn't listen to any of them, but I'm going to play them because I've been bad about that. And then we'll play our games. But before we go to break, there's a way you can support the show, and that is by going to patreon.com/TTSO and giving us a small or large per episode donation.
Folsian.
When you do that, you will get bonus content, you'll get bonus shows, you'll get our undying love, and you'll get mentioned on the show. And if you're one of our OG patrons, those are the ones that give the most generously. You will be mentioned every show, and I think that's your job, Kev.
That is my job. Thank you. We have 6 OG patrons that I want to talk about. First is Scott Neer, the Oest of the G's. Scott once got his car battery started by mixing bird feces with spit. There's like acid in the spit. You travel a lot? Jason Hicks. Jason is the front man of a British new wave band. They recently released their first EP. One of their new Square records that goes on a record player that's like on its side. While they have a beauty sound, it's not my style of music. What a lot of people don't know about patron Chris Korsmo is that she's the heiress to a Canadian brewery. She just recently took over control from her dim-witted uncle who married her widowed mother the day after her father died.
Wow.
Chris also holds the top leaderboard spot on the Galactic Border Patrol arcade game located in the brewery's cafeteria.
Beauty play.
Milo Meadsong once found a mouse in a bottle of beer that he bought from your beer store. As a lawyer, Milo knows that when this happens, you get your next 2-4 beer for free from that store. It's in the Canadian Criminal Code. There's like legal precedent settings cases in law, eh? Chuck Norris for the defense. A lot of people don't know that Jeff Augustine was off-world during World War IV. The year's 2051, 10 years after World War IV, and Jeff spends most of his time looking for beer as all the bowling alleys have been wrecked. James Hamblin, he's a genius. He knows the Atlas. Those are our 6 OG patrons. Thank you very much for your support.
James, if you had watched Strange Brew, the greatest movie ever made, you would have gotten each and every one of those references. That was, Kevin, some of your finest work.
Well, it's one of the finest movies.
All right, let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to have a special guest, and we'll talk about more Packer stuff, most likely.
Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. And just order like you normally would, and you help the show. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Welcome back to the show. It's episode 250, our bicentennial. And before we get to our guest, we have some Hall of Fame patrons that we'd like to thank for being wonderful people. James, I think that's your job.
It is. So we have Paul Goldsack, Kyle Turpening, DJ Lightfoot, Will Zine Savage, and Michael James Crowder. Now, look, it's true. I have not seen Strange Brew yet, even though he sent me the DVD back in 2003. I'm gonna get around to it
after we met, James.
I swear to God, I'm gonna get around to it when I can. I've been washing my hair, but so the above mentioned patrons all starred in the sequel to the second greatest movie ever made. It's called Rat Race 2, which you have to see it. It's amazing.
Is there a Baldwin brother in that film? It sounds like a vehicle for a Baldwin brother.
No Baldwin brother. I think Yakov Smirnoff makes a cameo though.
Oh, in Rat Races You. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to our interview or guest or whatever the hell we're calling it. We have a gentleman who is a fan of the podcast, poor guy, and also a fan of the Green Bay Packers, which is relatively consistent with our show. And that's Nick. Now, he's coming on the show. Oh, I forgot there's a delay before to let him in. There he is.
Hello.
Now, before I introduce him by last name, I would like you to guess how to pronounce his last name. It's Mahon. James, how would you pronounce that?
Mahone.
No.
That's not. I like that. Patrick Mahomes kind of. It's got the edge to it. Kevin.
You don't have to
From
be so mean about
Baltimore, I would pronounce it Mahun.
Oh, I like that. It's actually Rogers. So anyway, you got to go to it's Mahan, I believe, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Beauty. So you got to go to the game in Indianapolis, and I just want to hear about it. What is it like going to? It's just such a weird thing to first of all see like 1/5 of the stands full, but to go. I guess my first question is like, how do you get tickets these days? Do you just buy them off the secondary market? No, I mean,
That was interesting. I knew that they were coming to Indy for a little over a season. Like I found out, I think before last season that Green Bay was coming to Indy. And initially, COVID hadn't happened yet. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll go, no problem. And I started saving up for it. COVID hit, and then it was, I don't even know if they're going to have tickets. I don't know how Indiana has been compared to your guys' state, but I've heard that we're kind of a little more relaxed on the restrictions.
like James in Wisconsin, there it's just like the Wild West.
we have restrictions, but there is nothing holding you to actually following them. So
There are people coughing on your hands in the streets just for fun. But Pennsylvania, we're decent. I don't want to say great, but pretty good. It's odd to see someone unmasked in a pretty public setting.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is here. But they getting the tickets, I actually through work, the company I work through is season ticket holders, and
sweet.
I didn't get them through them. They gave me hope though, because when COVID hit, I was like, oh well, if they release tickets, I'll see if I can go. And then the seats I was looking at went from what I ended up paying to go to the game to being like $500 to $1,100 a seat. And I was like, yeah, I didn't save that much. I'm not going. Then my job listed, hey, we've got tickets to the Colts Packers game available. Try to get those, didn't get them. I was like, I'm going to try one more time. And if I don't get them at the price point I'd be looking for that are good seats, I'm not going. Went and looked, found the seats that I got, and I was like, you know what, this is what I saved. Like this amount is like what I saved to. I'll buy them and go. So it was.
So it was on a secondary market, like a regular game.
It was Ticketmaster, yeah. So it's interesting when you buy the seats because I went with my dad and my brother-in-law. Him and my sister moved back into the area. They were living pretty far away for a while. And I bought tickets for me and my dad, and you have to say how many people you're going with because they seat you in pods. So the seats that aren't used, like Lambeau, I've been one time, so I know they've got like the bleachers in the bowl.
Right.
Indiana is all Indianapolis is all seats. So if I was like, hey, I'm doing two people, they're like, all right, here's your row, and then they take like zip ties, but like zip ties you get for being drunk and disorderly, and they zip tied the seats to where
we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wouldn't fold down, and then they also had like the row behind you and the row in front of you was completely empty. No one could sit there at all.
So they zip tied every seat that wasn't supposed to be used for that game.
Yeah. So it's
I
know
because
What a job that would be. Holy cow,
Right.
imagine that.
and well the thing is, you think about it too.
Larry, go zip tie 45,000 seats.
If you think about it too, it's got to change like every game because where we at, maybe the next game is like, oh yeah, there's like 4 people coming,
So
3 people.
I'm guessing at that point they clip the ones they have to. But still, that's not a fun. I mean, like the poor bastard who gets sent to with his handful of zip ties. Everybody calls out that day.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm feeling short of breath.
Hey Dave, we need you to do a real quick and easy job. What is it? We need you to go through the entire stadium and just mark certain seats with zip ties.
That sounds like something that you could easily get blisters for, and also like when you're done, just be like, you know what, I'm out of here. Like this is my last day on the job. I'm done.
Well, what's funny is
They just find your boss in the office.
it's funny because I felt bad because I didn't buy one for my brother. He's not a sports fan, but I bought our tickets and I was like, oh crap, I didn't even like offer to get him a seat, and then he ended up like going out of town for the weekend. I was like, I don't feel that bad anymore.
Now, my question is, when you're entering the stadium, like the choke points, where you always wait in line with like 4,000 people, and like I can smell a beer breath from the guy next to me. Did they avoid those kind of? I mean, I know there's less people, but did they avoid those choke points?
When we got the tickets, they sent an email basically saying, I think they had less gates open because when we went through, like I really think the less amount of people helped out in it, because when we went through, that's the quickest I've ever gotten to a game. Even with the extra, hey, like their screening was they put like the temperature gun to your head and asked you if you had any last words. And then they asked you I think it was 2 questions. Like, have you been quarantined in the past 2 weeks? And have you come into contact with anyone that's tested positive in the past 2 weeks or something?
Why don't you just, like, they should just be like, do you have COVID? And if you say no, you're like, you sure?
Basically what the second question was, because the first one was, do you feel like you have it, or have you been quarantined or tested? And then it was, have you like touched somebody that did?
Who's going to show up to a football game, get out of their car, all the way up to the game? Like, do you think you might have COVID? Yes, I think
Finally, somebody asked me. Thank you so much. Someone wants to know how I feel. It's all about the we. It's not about me.
But, like, how is that effective? Do you think you might have COVID? Well, damn it, you ask. I've got to be honest. Yes.
It's funny, the email, they give you the warning. They're like, you will have some sort of screening and a questionnaire. And I was like, I mean, aside from swabbing your nose, and I don't know if they swab your throat. We'd have to ask Nick Foles.
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
Hey, let's leave the big dick jokes to the hosts, okay?
I love 50 years from now, the legacy of Titletown Sound podcast is going to be that Nick Foles had a huge wang.
So if we ever get Najee Davenport or Nick Foles as a guest, that is the last episode. We will not get better. If Najee Davenport agrees to be on next week would be our last episode.
I think they need to bury Nick Foles 7 feet under.
So once you're in the seating area, well, first of all, do they have like? I'm going to ask the question that 2 out of the 3 hosts of this show want to know: do they still have nachos and shit like that available?
Yeah. What's funny is they have, I think, less gates open, but they also send an email like, we have less food options and not that many vendor points open. My dad, he went up to go get food at some point, and I think the options, because it like we said, I said they told us less is open, and he's like, what do you want to eat? And it's like, I don't know what's even open. And I was like, if they got nachos, I'm fine with nachos, and or
fine with nachos.
And so I think the options were pizza, hot dogs, popcorn, and nachos. I think
those are your major food groups.
One of each. Yeah. Thank you.
What was the sound like in the seating bowl? Like, could you hear could you hear the field? Did they pump in the fake crowd noise?
So the crowd was pretty loud for Packer fans. I've been to a preseason Packer game at Lucas Oil before, and it's preseason, so whoever gets worked up for that, good for you, lay off the cocaine. But they
what tell me what to do.
Explains a lot.
I mean, the Go Pack Go chants were really loud. Whenever the Colts had a third down, it was really loud. And at halftime, I got up to go to take a leak. And as I'm going in the bathroom, by the way, if you want to go to a stadium and be in and out of taking a piss real fast, go during COVID.
Hang on, I gotta write that down.
I know it's a priority, especially if you get enough $8 beers in you. But
I guess all the bathrooms open, right?
Yeah, they had all them open. But I got up and I went, and they pump in like the Jumbotron speaker stuff.
I think I would drop a deuce just because I could.
Just because you could, yeah. I was just about to say the same thing.
I mean, just because how often can you take a
chop
in an NFL stadium? That, by the way,
every Sunday if you're the Jets, am I right?
Oh, if you're listening, if you're within the sound of our voices, and you go to an NFL stadium and you send us a selfie while you're pooping, please keep it PG-13. I don't want to see your poops or your bits.
Or
But
This is how you get Najee Davenport on your show. Is just like invite the poop.
I might open some floodgates I didn't want to open, so to speak.
so to speak.
All right.
If you take that laxative, it might open floodgates.
We'll be hearing more from that later. Actually, right after this segment. So the real reason we're having you on is because we want to be on your podcast because basically Kevin and I are obsessed with the movie Strange Brew. We've sent James the Blu-ray, and eventually he'll get around to it, hopefully before the show.
You sent me the laser disc. What the hell?
So tell me about your podcast so everybody who's listening to ours can check yours out.
It is Brownie Point's Guide to Cinema. Our logo is a bowl of popcorn with a brownie in it.
Delicious.
Our slogan is basically what the show is. It's a guy with a film degree, not me, and a guy who knows how to work a DVD player. That one's me. And we basically watch movies and then just talk about them from the point of view of someone that actually studied film, understands the industry, and then an average schlub like me that's like, more stuff should have blown up. Our big thing, I don't know why we got on it, but for a long time, we've had this running joke. I think it was after the first Nicolas Cage movie we did. We try and cast Nick Cage in every movie. And if he's already in it, what's that?
He's done a pretty good job of that himself, I think, hasn't he?
I think we could do a pretty good job for him. And if he's in the movie, we figure out what to cast him in while keeping him in his already previous role. So you get 2 Cages for the price of 1.
That's amazing. That's a good deal. Gotta
Yeah.
do it. So we are going to be on next week, Kevin and I, and James, if he catches up in time to the movie, to talk about the greatest movie of all time. Right, Kevin?
I mean, it's definitely up there as one of the top movies of all time. Yes, I would go so far as to say that. Yes,
It's Strange Brew. So we will remind you again next week after we're on the show. But go ahead.
What was the message I sent you after I read the synopsis? I think it was like that synopsis took a turn I didn't see because it's just like normal explanation. They're like, then they fight like kung fu fighting hockey teams, and I was like, I didn't see that in a beer movie coming.
It's fantastic. So we'll be on this week. We'll tell you when it drops, and we'll post it on our social media. But hey, man, thanks for coming on with us. That answered a lot of my questions about what it's like to like. I honestly don't know. Was it an odd experience, or did you enjoy it? I mean, I guess odd and enjoy it.
In terms of life now, it felt normal. It didn't feel like it was anything extra. Like, you don't have to do anything extra than if you were going like to the store or going to work or something like that. But I go to like 3 to 4 sporting events a year. The last one I went to was in February. And if you would have told me the next time you go to a sporting event will be in November, you'll have to wear a mask. The stadium will be at 25% capacity. You're going to have some guy ask you if you feel like you have flu symptoms.
Right.
I would have called you insane. So it's weird when you take like the last sporting event you go to and then you go into it. That's what's weird. But when you think about like the lifestyle we're in now, I mean, I think I told you the voicemail I left, I was in like emotional aftershock, and I was like, yeah, I'm the guy that's going to sound clinically depressed just because I was processing how weird it was to go to and how exciting it was to finally be back at a sporting event. So.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us. We will talk on your podcast next, and then hopefully we can make some converts for that fantastic comedy. All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks for having me.
Take off.
Nice to meet you guys.
All right. We let's see. What else are we talking about? Oh, we didn't mention that Packers signing Tavon Austin. James, can you give us like a 30-second what your take is on that?
He's fast.
Okay, that's positive.
Yeah, he's fast. He's a veteran. Hasn't done a whole lot in the league, but I think he's got a lot of potential, especially if Irvin's going to be out for any amount of time. Good special teamer. We got rid of Darius Shepard to get him, so I mean it's an improvement. I like the signing. He's cheap. It's like $100,000 for the rest of the year. So
nice. Yeah,
I like it.
Okay, no risk. I like it too. All right, sounds good to me. Now let's get to one of our favorite segments. In no way sponsored or endorsed by the real David Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
69, dudes!
Nice.
69!
Nice.
That's right. It is David Bakhtiari's 69 of the week, where we bring you one statistic or several mashed together to create a 69. And this week, gentlemen,
Yes.
This is natural.
Yeah.
Best natural laxative to clear all the stuck poop in your intestines. You will lose 3 kg in one day.
gentlemen, this natural feels special, and I feel like it deserved a better sound effect, but I got lazy. Gentlemen, how many offensive snaps do you think David Bakhtiari played this week?
No way. Did he play 69?
69, dudes!
That's
69!
Nice.
Now, here's the thing about that statistic.
every.
That statistic came to us from listener. I got to find him now. I think it's Don. Where is he? Yes, Don. Don P. At Don P 757. He could be making it up because I did not verify it, but I want to believe David Bakhtiari played 69 snaps. You guys good with that?
It's like Inception. Bring the movie guy back on. I want to talk about this.
The Packers are going to play the Eagles this week, God willing.
Philly, your football team, woof.
Carson Wentz is not the answer. He's pretty terrible, isn't he, James?
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad at football. He's not good. Kevin, what did you say they called him?
Yeah, so Jason La Canfora has a local Baltimore sports show. He basically called him a poor man's Mitch Trubisky. So that's what we have going for us.
So, yeah, I mean, they're going to try to get out from under him at some point because he's just not that good. I just where do you go from here?
They drafted his replacement this past in the draft, Jalen Hurts, and I heard that he might actually take some playing time away, but it sounds like they're going to keep on starting Wentz.
Yeah, the local, I can tell you that the media hyped it up around here as if Hurts was going to get playing time this past week, and he didn't. And a lot of fans were, of course, pissed about that because Eagles fans are even more reactionary than Packers fans. It's close, but they're more reactionary, and they were really unhappy with the fact that they're sticking with Wentz. Doug Peterson just seems like I don't know what's going on. He just doesn't seem like I don't know. He's getting it or he's being stubborn. I don't know what it is. But he was God.
He won a Super Bowl, like I think his first year.
Yeah,
and I think that he peaked in high school. That was it for him. That was like it went to his head, and he won it with Nick Foles, which is impressive, which is funny. But I mean, yeah, I just think that he's stubborn and yes, they've had a lot of injuries and their offensive line is really bad. But Carson Wentz, I think, has been sacked almost like twice as much as any other quarterback. I think Carson Wentz has been sacked I think he's been sacked 45 times or 44 times.
46 times.
Aaron Rodgers has been sacked 11.
Wow. That tells you a lot. That tells you about, and these games where the Packers defense can get to the quarterback, that's real tough. If they can get pressure, you're going to have a tough time because that means their defense is going to be above average that game. And you want the Packers defense to be below average if you have a chance to beat them, especially as a team like the Eagles. But there's more. Not only is the Eagles offense pretty bad, Kevin, their defense sucks too.
They're just not very good. They stink.
So
that's it.
Yeah, they're not. Their front seven is actually pretty okay, and they have Darius Slay from you might remember him from Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're not the
Didn't
worst.
Didn't he get
defense.
burned a couple times?
Devontae Adams made him look stupid more times than I can remember. But their defense isn't terrible. It's not Chicago and it's not Indianapolis, but it's also not, I don't know, the Jets. It's in the top 15, I think.
And so, what do you think about this game? Is this one of those letdown games you got to be worried about?
God, I hope not. I can't.
Kevin, what do you think? I mean, this is kind of one of those games, though, right? This is where it can happen.
I don't know if you can have. I don't know. I mean, yes, it could, but I don't think that this is as prime a candidate as some other games might be.
You could also have a letdown game that you win, like the Jacksonville game. The Packers had a letdown game when they beat them. That's something you could see too. But I'd like to see him play a nice, complete game here against an opponent that.
Yeah, I mean they're playing an opponent that's down, and I'd like to see him kick them while they're down and continue keeping them down, not just beat them because they beat them, but like beat them down. I just used the word down a lot. So I wonder if that makes sense.
Let's talk about now, James. I don't know what you intended with this segment here, but you just have Philly sucks. Cheesesteaks are good. What did you want to talk about there?
I love cheesesteaks. Like, I really do. Philadelphia is a city historical. Historically, it's for a history nerd like me, it's gorgeous. I love Philly. Like in terms of all the cool stuff you can do there.
The cream cheese factory.
I love the cream cheese factory. I love.
Take the tour. If they offer you the tour, you take that tour. Bring your own crackers, though. I'll warn you ahead of time. Don't bring a bagel. I don't think you're getting a bagel in there. No.
No. I mean, so Philly as a city. I just mean they threw batteries at Santa, and they, I think.
So this is the thing that happens every time somebody brings up those stories. All the fans are like, yeah, but they never mention how bad other cities are. Like, yeah, they do. We talk about Oakland's terrible. Like, I wouldn't want to be a visiting fan at the Jets game, but you guys are terrible. And every time you have an event, there's a brawl of some sort. Their fans are. I told the story on the show when someone called my 7-year-old brother-in-law a bastard in the parking lot of a Flyers game.
If you guys, I'm a fan of, or a casual fan of a comedian named Bill Burr. And there was a comedy festival in the early 2000s, late 90s. It was a charity, and for whatever reason, Philly people just went full Philly, and he spent his entire 12 minutes. You just have to go listen to it. Like there are some things in there that I don't agree with. Like there's some names calling that he does that is cringy, but holy mackerel! Just Bill Burr Philly, YouTube it. It's a thing.
I'll check it. All right, guys, we've got some voicemails. I've been really bad about voicemails. We're running a little bit late tonight, but I want to leave them in because I've been bad about getting them on the show. So I didn't listen to them either. So we'll see how they are. But our first voicemail is from a regular caller. Well, I think all three of them are. Yeah, first one's from Eli.
Hey, this is Eli calling after the Bears go down. Bear down. Get it? Because they lose. Anyway, I'm calling because I want to celebrate Tim Boyle. Yeah, I didn't think I'd go this way, did you?
No.
Tim Boyle making sure that his kneel downs don't cost him yards was brilliant. And the fact that the Bears got so testy about that is really ridiculous. I mean, shout out to a backup quarterback just trying to live his best life. And then, Pro Bowl athletes getting pissed. It's amazing.
All right, what's he talking about, James?
So at the end of the game, they put Boyle.
Portion of the game.
So in the fourth, Matt LaFleur actually said he wanted to put Boyle in earlier in the fourth quarter, but the defense kept giving up touchdowns, so he felt like he needed it. I'm not making that up. That's the real thing. Wow. Anyway, he puts Boyle goes in the last series for the kneel downs, and Boyle apparently has decided now. And I've noticed this the last couple times he's done this. He's not getting negative yardage on his kneel downs. He doesn't want negative rushing yards for the season. So instead of just taking a step back and kneeling, he kneels forward a half a yard.
He genuflex.
He does. He genuflex with the ball. So he did it. He did it the first time. Nobody, it was just a thing. And then he had to do it one more time. He does it one more time. And I think it was Roquan Smith. I think it was Roquan Smith. Cheap shotted him, and threw a temper tantrum about it. And it after it became apparent the Boyle wasn't, it wasn't that bad of a hit, but he wasn't hurt. It was just such a microcosm of what a crap show that team is.
Yeah,
you got your ass handed to you. He doesn't want to get negative rushing yards. Sit your ass down.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they're pissed because they do have. They were getting their asses handed to them, and it was an embarrassment, I guess. Oh, gentlemen, we have breaking news. YouTube viewer Swade Knight says Pro Football Reference confirms David Bakhtiari played 69 snaps against Chicago.
Love it.
69, dudes!
Nice.
69!
Nice.
Did he miss any snaps due to injury?
No, I don't think so.
So that means there were probably multiple players who played. Like Aaron Rodgers probably also played 69 snaps.
Well, no, because
because
Boyle wasn't. Yep, I wasn't
Right.
listening. Sorry.
But I'm sure there was at least one other offensive lineman, right? There had to be. But anyway, but the David Bakhtiari double inception 69 is the most important.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Hey Don, that was a good find, Don.
We're not gonna verify Swade Knight's statement that Pro Football Reference confirms that. I mean, I'm just gonna believe that.
Well,
Now
he
we've got-
verified it himself because he put those little stars under the update.
Oh, that's a
That
good point.
means it's true.
Stars.
3 kgs of poop to you, Swade.
By the way, Eli, that was almost the perfect voicemail. It talked a lot about Tim Boyle. It was brief, to the point, high voice, high sound quality. Nicely done.
It also gave a call and answer opportunity that you took advantage of, Chris. That was nice.
Yeah, perfect. All right, here we go. Gabe is up next.
Hey y'all, it's Gabe here calling after the Packers win over the Bears 41-25 as the final score. In this game, I really thought both sides, offense and defense, did an incredible job. I mean, it was scary there at the beginning with that big run that they gave up to Montgomery, but overall, I mean, amazing. That's how they need to play. Although the only issue I had was the defense there at the end. I mean, I know, yes, we're up, like 41-10, but, still, if you ask me, the defense kind of pumped the brakes there a little bit. And, yeah, but that's just my philosophy. You just keep playing, though. But other than that, it was a great win, especially against those damn Bears. Anyway, but yeah, well, that's all I have for tonight. And be looking forward to the next game. And hopefully they get ready and take on and beat Philly. Anyway, that's all I have. So the Bears still suck. Good night. God bless and go Pack, go.
Gabe, still with us?
He's actually live on the line right now. He's still there. It's been 6 days, and I'm still talking to him in the
I've
voice.
done that so many times. Thought I've hung up, but haven't.
Yeah,
I one time had like a really crappy piece of phone, and I had just gone out with a girl for the first time the night before, and I used to wake up at 4:30 in the morning for work. And at 4:45, I turned my alarm off, and I accidentally called her at 4:45 in the morning.
Oh.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. But I was like fumbling to hang up the phone, and it was just bad.
I'm just gonna. All right, I'm gonna play a Milo Meat song. He's got a voicemail into us.
Hey there, gang. It's Milo. Just a few quick thoughts. Get in under the wire before the show here. First of all, I wanted to mention that despite everything going on, just how great is it that we get to see the Green Bay Packers annihilate the Chicago Bears on Sunday night at Lambeau with Mitchell Trubiskying all over the field. I mean, it was everything I could hope for and more. I guess my only point on this is when Mitchell Trubisky loses, specifically himself loses games to the Chicago Bears, it's not only good for Green Bay fans, it's good for America. But beyond that, I wanted to bring up the draft again because I guess this will never leave my thoughts. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on the draft picks again, now that we're pretty well into the season. The only ones I can really see that have demonstrated any value this season are Kamal Martin and John Runyon. The other ones, Love, I get it. We can debate that forever. But like A.J. Dillon, I think the only value he has is if they don't sign Aaron Jones which I don't know how you could not. Jamal Williams is great, but I don't know how you could let a talent like Aaron Jones go unless they just don't have the cap. But Jake Hansen, a center out of Oregon, Josiah DeGuara, that tight end from Cincinnati, I mean, with colossal Robert Tonyan at tight end, and Jay Sternberger has shown out, Mercedes Lewis. The draft to me again seems like some wasted opportunities. They're doing fine with wide receivers, but how great would it have been to trade up in the first round, not for Love, but for Jefferson from Minnesota. Just a lot of different things. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. But primarily I called in to say that the Bears losing is a win for America. Take care, guys, and have a good one. Bye-bye.
So, James, do you have any comments on the draft class? We just don't have. We could talk about that for 45 minutes at this point.
Jordan Love again working. You can't even really discuss that at this point because who knows. But he's not wrong. I mean, you lose AJ Dillon to COVID and whatever else is going on, and then you have Josiah DeGuara who tore his ACL. He's out. Kamal Martin is playing, and he's playing well when he is. And then John Runyon. John Runyon is a stud, and he's been playing really well.
It's hard to judge those guys who are injured too. But he said, Kevin, the only reason to pick up AJ Dillon is if you don't re-sign Aaron Jones. But that's a very real possibility. And it's not a bad type of running back, I think, to have in the stable, especially on a rookie contract.
Yeah, that's the key is the rookie contract. I mean, if it's not hurting you to have him on the roster, so you keep him on the roster, right? Like it's not like he's costing you a ton of money to be there.
All right, we're over an hour, but we have to get to this voicemail. You guys know it. You love it.
I want to sing you a lovely song in honor of this recent Packers-Bears game. Reunited cause he feels so good. Reunited cause he understood that there's one perfect fit. My foot in your ass is it. Well, I'm so excited cause they're reunited, motherfucker. Yes, the Bears, they still do be sucking. I'll tell you who else sucked. The guy finally leaving the big office after far too long. Of course, I'm talking about the Matt Patricia. I told you before, Bubba. I told you long ago what is going to happen to him. You just wait for him to get pulled over by the police, Bubba.
No.
Maybe we get lucky. He'll be on live TV, police patrol, or some shit. By shirtless, spilling the can of Sprite all over himself, stains all over his boxer shorts. You wait, Bubba. It's going to happen. What the fuck else was I going to talk to you about? The Packers, they signed the Tavon Austin. What do you think? Is he the Stone Cold Tavon Austin or the dog shit Tavon Austin? The time will tell. I think he's the bullshit myself. But he's not complete jabroni. I give him that. He got speed. He is slicker than owl shit. Remember, he good on the gadget plays. He do the gadget well. I'm not saying he do the gadget from the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. He doesn't do that gadget. It's a cartoon. Speaking of which, the Matt Patricia, he kind of look like Monterey Jack. Maybe I give Matt Patricia a job. I need a new vacuum cleaner, and we know that he certainly does know how to suck. If he wants to move out to Djibouti, then why the fuck not? I'm not going to pay him in American, though. No. I don't pay him in American. He would get paid in Djibouti money, Bubba. And I tell you what, when you get paid in Djibouti, it hurts. Anyway, that's about it from Iron Chick. I'm going to go eat some Doritos on the couch.
By the way, Djibouti money, the Djiboutian franc. I don't know if you knew that.
I used to know. I used to have a bookie named Djibouti and Frank.
That was. I said that we had the perfect call before, but we know that every one of the Iron Sheiks calls is perfect, and we're just blessed, really blessed.
Yeah. By the nature of the fact that it hits our waves, it is perfect. It is always perfect.
And how is I didn't know he's a Packers fan. That's the thing that I think is probably the most surprising of all. That or that he calls this show of all shows. All right, I think we got to play some games because we got to get out of here. So let's go to true or false if I can find it on the damn soundboard. Oh boy.
True or false, true or false, true or false, true or false. It's time to play true or false.
All right, true or false, everybody's favorite truth and false based game of luck and skill. We didn't have a recap from last week because we didn't have a show, so we'll just go ahead and dive straight into this week. We'll start with you, Chris. Number one, this season, the Eagles have allowed 46 sacks. That's 4.18 sacks per game, including 6 games where Carson Wentz was sacked at least 4 times. True or false, in Week 13 against the Eagles, the Packers will record at least 4 sacks. Chris, what do you think?
I'll say true, even though the logic probably says false just because numbers game, but true.
James, what about you?
I'm gonna go the under. I'm gonna go false.
All right. I'm gonna say true. I'm hoping that the Packers have one of those games that you expect the Eagles to stink up. All right. Number 2, James. Let's start with you this time.
Okay.
The half game out of first place, 3-7-1 Eagles have a turnover ratio of -10 this season, and Carson Wentz has thrown 15 interceptions and lost 4 fumbles. True or false? By the end of Week 13, the Eagles' turnover ratio will be at least -11, and Carson Wentz will have at least 20 combined INTs and fumbles for the season. So basically, they're
one fumble. We have to win
interception.
the turnover battle by 1, and he has to be part of one of
Correct.
those.
Correct.
You know what? I'll say true.
I'm going to say true as well.
I'm going to say true as well. You like how I said? I tried to say it real fast.
You did.
Okay. Question number 3. Through 11 games, Carson Wentz is averaging 231 passing yards per game. Believe it or not, the Packers' pass defense is allowing 230 passing yards per game. True or false? The Packers' defense will hold Carson Wentz to less than his average passing yards per game, and thus the Packers will keep their average yards per game the same or lower.
So both of those have to be true?
Well, the Eagles have 231 average yards a game. The Packers are 230. So if one, by virtue of the fact that it's, they're connected.
I would say Wentz is not going to get to his average because he will not finish the game.
Ooh. James, what about you?
I'll say false.
I'm going to say true. Chris, I like where your head is at. I just think maybe Doug Peterson's phoned it in and doesn't really give a crap. All right, question number 4. James, I'm going to start with you. In his last 2 games, Devontae Adams has basically disappeared. But despite getting a measly 9 targets in each game, he's continued to streak. I was being sarcastic when I said
I picked that up.
Just in case you didn't. He's continued to streak and now scored touchdowns in 6 consecutive games. Last year against the Eagles, Adams was targeted 15 times but did not get into the end zone. True or false? In Week 13, Devontae Adams will be targeted at least 10 times and will score at least 1 receiving touchdown.
Yeah, true.
I'm
Chris?
going to say true as well. Let's go for it. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm Scott Nearing it this week. I am on board.
I've got all trues so far, so I'm probably going to say false regardless of what this next question is. No, I'm going to say true because I know what it is because I wrote it. Question number 5. Yeah. Question number 5. Mason Crosby missed a point after last week. His second missed extra point of the season. True or false? Against the Eagles, there will be at least one of the following special teams miscues. At least 1 missed field goal or missed extra point, or an extra punt, I guess. 1 blocked punt, a muffed punt, or a special teams penalty. So if any of those things happen,
yeah, multiple. Can we parlay it? I'll say
no.
true.
Okay, go for it. I'm actually okay. Go for it, James. What about you?
I'll say true.
I'm going to say false. I do not believe the Packers will have any opportunities to make special teams penalties. That's why I threw it in there. I think they're going to score every time they touch the ball.
What are they going to do after they score?
Yeah, but you very rarely get a touch penalty as the kicking team. Usually it's as a receiving team.
That's a good point.
True or false is now over.
All right, we're not skipping a beat. Right into it. Smooth as a.
What was it? A slick oil? Al
S. Slipperier than Owl S.
All right. Hands on the hood and spread them.
All right. Chris, what's the spread? James, what's the spread?
Packers
are definitely favored in this game.
Packers are getting 8.5.
No. I'm not talking about Nick Foles. What's the spread of this game?
Oh, they're giving 8. They're giving 8. The Packers are favored by 8.5. Is my
gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, Chris, what do you think?
F it, Packers.
James,
Philly.
I just wrote your okay. I'm going to say the Packers because I don't really give much thought into this, so we're good to go. Play that beautiful footage.
Bean footage.
There's no exit song for this game. However, you guys have sound offs for this week, or do you want to? Did you have one prepared?
Can I just say today, Wednesday?
Wait.
It's time to sound off.
Now you may say whatever you would like.
Today, as we record this Wednesday, December 2nd, is Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones' birthdays. I would just like to, because I know they both listen to this program. They might even be watching right now. Suede Knight might be Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure. I just want to wish them a happy birthday and thank you for all the happiness and joy you brought into my life. And also, if you're not watching Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday, you're an idiot. Get a hold of it. Watch it. Do it. It's amazing.
Kev?
I like turtles.
Yes.
I'll go and I'll say we have a document that we work off of in a show outline every week. It's not very extensive, but it's enough that we can, go 70 minutes without even trying. And I left mine open on my desktop, and I find at the bottom next to show closed, I love you, Daddy, Charlotte. So my sound off is it's really cool being a dad sometimes, and it really sucks sometimes, but it's really cool most of the time, or it's only moderate. Like it's usually above moderately irritating, like most of the time.
The baseline is just above annoyed.
No, it's amazing. So that was fun to find. All right, guys, let's get out of here. James, do you have anything special that somebody should tweet at us?
Why don't you do hashtag Djibouti?
Yeah, and you spell that however you feel it's appropriate for you to spell Djibouti. Kevin, anything else to add before we get out of here?
Who is that quarterback? Wasn't there a John David Booty?
I think there was, yeah. And he tried to assassinate Reagan.
That is science. I mean, history and sports all in one.
The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.